Let's kick it off with, let me hear your 90-second pitch of who you are and what your company does.
I am Damian Meak. Yawdie restaurant is essentially Jamaican Shake Shack, is Shake Shack with flavor. Shake Shack does a lot of things well, and that's why they're a leader in the QSR market. Yawdie is kind of created to be a meteoric rise in the QSR market. The QSR market has been lacking diversity and flavor. It's been pretty much smash burger heavy or chicken tender heavy. So we're coming to kind of take on the smash burger and chicken tender with flavor.
That's awesome. So what's your background? How did you get into this? Where's sort of the starting point of this idea?
My background is of Jamaican heritage. I was born in Jamaica, West Indies. So just cooking in general has always been a part of my life, from being in the kitchen watching grandma to being watching mom to being outside watching dad and the uncles on the grill and like that. So, for Jamaican people, entrepreneurship usually starts in the restaurant world. There is no state in the United States that does not have a Jamaican restaurant. So, the demand is definitely there. The reach is definitely there. My wife was just in Playa del Carmen, Mexico, and there were two Jamaican restaurants over there. So, just cooking in general has always been a part of my life. And then in the later years of my life, business became a big part of my life. So, I saw the truth of the matter is I follow the billionaires. I see where people are going. Sometimes you could look into different markets to kind of get ideas of where things were going. My last business was transportation, so my background is more in operations, supply chain management. Just how to move things or get people moving. So I don't necessarily have a QSR background. However, food has always been in my life. I saw what Shake Shack did, and then I saw a restaurant by the name of Slutty Vegan do something. And I said, wow, they did that. So, they did that. If they did something else right, they would go to the next level. So I'm taking a game plan and remixing it by putting some Jamaican flavor on it.
That's cool. That's cool. So where is the restaurant located? Kind of tell us a little bit about, where it is right now and maybe where people could go to maybe taste some of the food.
Gotcha. So the restaurant is located in Flatbush, Brooklyn, New York, right on the edge of Prospect Park. You can just jog out of the park 1 or 2 blocks. We're located in the heart of a Caribbean community called Little Caribbean. So it was intentional to place the business here. When I migrated from Jamaica, West Indies, I moved immediately to Flatbush, Brooklyn. So I'm familiar with the neighborhood. I myself have been here close to 40 years now in the Flatbush, Brooklyn area. I've lived other places. However, this will always be home. Starting the first one in business, it's all about location, 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 location for some, especially the restaurant world. And I wanted to kind of guarantee the victory. And by doing that, I chose to start in a location that had all of my customers.
Sure.
We're here located at 2123 Caton Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11226.
That's cool. Tell us a bit about maybe like the business plan. Like, where do you see growth? Is it something that you see franchising? Do you see something more along the lines of you being, 4 or 5 restaurants, maybe in the New York area first? Like, what does sort of growth look like right now for you?
So me and my partners, we talk about this all the time because the brand is positioned in a way that we could go many directions. We can definitely go the franchise route. My wife, her company is a franchise company, so we definitely understand the franchise model. However, the franchise model slows you down too sometimes with red tape. But
Mm,
there's a lot of red tape to get your franchise license in certain states. Some states are easier than certain. So even JV partnerships could kind of get us around the franchise curve. Our goal, we were going to open many restaurants really fast to show that the brand had appeal across different markets and different areas. However, after speaking to some advisors, they said just build the perfect one. Right now, we're in our seed round. I don't want to jump ahead.
Well, it's okay. Yeah, let's get into it. I mean, you are fundraising right now. So, like, what does that sort of look like in terms of this growth plan? I mean, obviously, fundraising is going to be a part of all this, but what does that sort of look like right now for you?
So for us, we're going to build the perfect one store. We have one location now. We are going to go through 4 different models. The
Hmm.
models are going to be street side, all kiosk setting, airports, and then finally arenas.
Okay.
So we're in step one, which is mall kiosks. We're actively looking for street side. However, we're waiting for the perfect spot to open on the perfect block that we know. So we have two blocks in mind or two streets in mind that we know we could guarantee the victory. So we're waiting for space to open up on those streets, which they will. We will be starting in the Barclays Center this upcoming basketball season with the Brooklyn Nets. So that's going to be the second business model that we have going. We were on a fast track for airport. However, with a lot of politics right now, certain DEI initiatives were taken out of place. So we
Mm,
did have a skip the line with the
mm,
ACBE program for
mm.
the airport concessions. However, that's been changed significantly. We still believe we're going to be in JFK in, I would say, maybe late 26. So, and street side, we're looking to open up maybe January, February for a March, April run to
Nice.
have the summer.
So are you looking at the concept of a restaurant with different terms with the way you're discussing these sort of partnerships, airports, street side, stuff like that, because of how DoorDash works and restaurants now don't necessarily need to be, 100 tables, bar, this traditional restaurant, right? So are you just thinking differently just because of the way technology now works and how we consume food at the end of the day?
100%. And we
Yeah.
consume food in two ways. We consume food through the mouth and we also consume it through the eyes.
Hmm.
We're looking at it from both angles. I said something incorrect. The fourth business model was the cloud kitchen model. To speak exactly to what you're speaking, this year our revenues were at about maybe 30% third party. So the delivery demand is there, and it allows us to open up faster. Meaning we understand where our customer is in the United States, and with the cloud kitchen model, we can get to them really quickly. And the way we do that is by having them consume with their eyes first. Been doing pretty good on the marketing side. Our customer acquisition cost across Google is about $1.80 per customer. Our average customer is $24.33 right now. So, our numbers look really good. So if we took that marketing to a different market with the cloud kitchen, we believe we can still get that strong delivery traffic. And we're just starting out. We're about 7.5 months in from our launch. We're doing pretty good. We're the only five-star restaurant with close to 1,000 reviews in New York City. Yeah, the business speaks for itself.
And how are you planning to have good quality control across these types of expansions, going into the different types of kitchen and environments, and even like just the ways that we would consume? Right, a basketball game might be different than sitting down at a restaurant, right? So, how do you make sure that that experience and that quality control is happening across all of these different ventures?
Great question. We thought about that before we even started. Everything was designed with systems in mind. You
Hmm.
know, design a business like a franchise from the start. You're going to get the guaranteed results. So everything that we do is based around systems. Even with the technology, we're able to lower labor costs by using technology. So we're using a lot of technology in the kitchen to kind of eliminate human error. Uh, our menu is simple, and our menu was based on the suppliers in mind and how we get product and how product is even seasoned or put together. So everything was thought of before we created this restaurant. So from the production side, it's a pretty simple process. Our processes are simple, still high quality, just simple in process. We took out a lot of human error with technology.
Yeah. Let's kind of talk a little bit more on just maybe the entrepreneur side, right? Just for other people, starting up businesses, starting journeys, like you're doing right now. How is like being an immigrant helped or hurt potentially this idea? And just, how do you sort of think about it? What does the day to day looks like? How do you navigate the highs and the lows of just this world, right? So, how do you sort of think about just being an entrepreneur in today's world for yourself?
To be honest, being an immigrant, to answer that part first, being an immigrant, it helps and doesn't help. It helps because of DEI initiatives, of course, first and foremost. It helps because of programs that are there based to help people that are immigrants. You got to say the word. It definitely now where it doesn't help. It also helps with there's something inside every entrepreneur that keeps us going. There's that thing inside that mechanism that
Mm,
makes you move
mhm,
where you got to do for yourself. You know you have to kill what you eat. Being an immigrant, we're coming from poorer nations, and in poorer nations, you have to do for self. I believe the reason why there are so many Jamaican restaurants is because there were so many Jamaican people just cooking on the side of the street, cooking out of their house. So
mhm,
entrepreneurship is kind of built in that class of people where you have to do for yourself. There is no government subsidies, really have to do. Now, where it doesn't help is in exposure. Exposure. I do small business only because I'm not exposed to big business. Prior to my two businesses ago, I'm on business number 5 now, so I believe this is the one where I crack. I cracked on my last business. However, geopolitical events took me out. The war in Ukraine
mm,
destroyed the transportation industry.
mm,
It came back recently. However, it really did wipe out about 50% of the market.
mm,
Um, where it doesn't help is with exposure. There's a lot of big business that I wasn't exposed to because I come from hustle business.
mm, mhm,
Coming from hustle business, naturally you go into small business. However, small business and big business is the same amount of time in the day. It's just a difference in plan and use of leverage. And I've learned to use leverage. I've learned to think big. And if I didn't have exposure to that, I wouldn't have been able to learn it. So that's where being an immigrant or coming from the poorer class really harms us. We don't have the vision or the exposure to see things that are really
yeah.
out
And do you see yourself right now like building generational wealth? Do you see it as a bigger picture? Or and it's okay, maybe just right now, is it like, nah, I just want to get into these next three things, make sure we're putting out good food. Like how do you sort of make sure that the dream is big but not too big where you're sort of lost in that, and or too small, just you're only thinking about the day to day, right? I'm gonna make some rice today, right? Because I think that that's a challenge for a lot of founders, right? They're in the weeds or they're too far ahead, right? You got to sort of be right in that middle of like, having the dream, but still executing at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy because life will punch you in the face. Life
Hmm.
could have the greatest plan and you get punched in the face. You watch billion-dollar companies go down. You you watch startups that had all the attention fizzle. So you really still have to perform every day. And I think like for me, I look at the big picture. I look at the big picture. I don't focus on the minutia or the micro. I look at the macro.
Hmm.
Get caught in the micro, you don't do any work for the macro. And it's not to work in your business, it's to work on your business. Like right now, today I'm in the business. It helps. And when you're in the business, it helps because you're there to make sure customers get the best experience.
Hmm.
Your business should be so good that anybody that's there will give the customer the best experience. So that way you could work on your business. So you have to do a combination of both. You got to be in it just to make sure it works the way it should work. However, the real work is on it. Outreach, emails, conferences, you got to network. Your
Yeah.
network is your net worth.
Yeah. And you mentioned a minute ago, just thinking about this, of just maybe competition, right? A lot of restaurants, a lot of just Jamaican food. How do you sort of see yourself making sure that you're standing out in all of that, making sure that your messaging is on point? Just how do you sort of think about that on the day to day?
I mean, great question again. This is something you have to think about before you begin. What is your USP? What is your unique selling proposition? What is your differentiator? And we chose to be different on all levels, different from Jamaican restaurants, similar to the best QSRs, and also similar on a Michelin level. What do I mean by that? We looked at reviews of the best Jamaican restaurants just to see what the pain points were, because a restaurant will always get good reviews based on their food. What are the customers' pain points though to get that good food? And it was always service, 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 or quality, service or quality. And then we looked at the QSRs, the leaders, and we looked at what their customer pain points were. Their customer pain points were more around the customer service or the customer experience, where they're so kiosks that there's no one there.
Mm, mm.
You're going up to a kiosk. So, we looked at all that and we did a combination of everything. So we created two businesses in one. We created a technologically advanced kitchen with simplified operations that can almost guarantee McDonald's like consistency. However, with flavor and quality of nicer restaurants and portion control in mind based on our customers' likes and dislikes. We then, in the front of house, created a customer service machine. We're only here to service the customer. We actually have techniques built in so that we can create these magical moments with customers that leave lasting memories. Our motto is, make a moment, create a memory.
Nice. That's cool. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're over on Honeycomb right now fundraising. Is that correct? Is that still going?
Yeah, so for us on the fundraising side, fundraising is something that we actually know how we can grow. What we were doing was just testing things that natural founders use, such as home. Crowdfunding has never really been a target for us because me and my other founders, we don't make a lot of noise. And for crowdfunding, you have to make a lot of noise, and we're not noisy people. We can change who we are. We decided, we'll still try it. So Honeycomb was a small success. It wasn't a runaway success, only because we didn't make a lot of noise about it.
Mhm,
We told who we told, we did some promotion around it. However, crowdfunding will always be to the noisiest person. It's not the best USP, it's those that could really put themselves out there and become that character to gain attention.
mhm.
We believe the product that we offer is so good, we don't have to do that. So it worked. However, it could have worked better.
Sure, sure. And right now, as you're sitting, what's keeping you up at night? What is the thing that like we really got to get these next two things or this one thing right? But what's the thing keeping you up at night right now?
Seed round, bro. Seed
Mm,
round. The
mm,
thing is, we have a guaranteed winner is money has been really expensive for these
mm,
last couple of months. Money is finally getting cheaper now. So we've been ready to make a move. It's just money's been really expensive. People are giving it out. They're just really tight with it because money
mm.
was expensive.
Yeah,
Feel like the market is easing. So for me, what's really been keeping me up is just seed round funding. Seed round funding for us is going to be around 500K. That 500K is going to finish out the other two business models we need to do all four business models. We know if we get all four done, we should have a multi million dollar company at that point.
awesome. Well, where should people go if they're interested in what they're hearing and they want to dive in and learn a little bit more? Where should we send people?
Definitely to our website first. You can go to yawdieq.com or our Instagram or any one of our social handles. You can find us there. We're going to start going story heavy. We've just been really doing a lot of testing right now. We've been testing everything because we know seed round is where we really go crazy with what we've been testing to see what works. We've been testing menu, we've been testing everything. So we're gonna make a lot of noise because noise wins. So we're gonna make a lot of noise. People might not have to look for us. We'll find them. However, right now you can go to YDQ.
Awesome. Well, Damien, I appreciate you taking time out of your day. This is a great conversation. For all my listeners out there, make sure you guys go to the show notes wherever you guys are finding this, whether it's YouTube, podcasts, or the newsletter. Just go click on the links, dive in, check out what they're working on because I think it's got a really interesting business model here. Damien, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate you.